Welcome to Self-Critic Reviews, and today Self-Critic is going to review the UK TV show Cracker that started airing in 1993. It's a crime drama, episodic in nature, with the exception that cases last 2 or 3 episodes instead of 1. And unfortunately, I'm not able to review anything to its full potential without spoilers. But here are a few words if by some miracle you stumbled upon this channel and you'd actually like to figure out whether you should watch this or not. As you might expect, being an older show, lots of newer series applied similar themes and techniques later, so you're probably wondering if the show can still surprise you. And the answer is, yes it can. For example, the second case has a criminal with a speech defect.
Name?
I'll write it.
I need to hear it.
Harrigan!
What?
And maybe I haven't seen enough of crime shows, spoiler alert, I have, but I don't remember criminals like the one there off the top of my head. In terms of negatives, I think the pacing is a bit too slow for my tastes. 2 or 3 episodes for one case can feel like a lot, and it is quite daunting. But if you can get used to it, that's probably the primary flaw of the series. So that's it. However, if you think this show has nothing to spoil, you can watch this video and find out if you're right. Spoilers ahead.
These are Self-Critic reviews on television and news. If this ain't your favorite artist, well, you're not getting amused. This is Self-Critic reviews.
If that's gonna get different clothes, or if it's on YouTube, yet he is getting no views.
If you want some unbiased opinions, an analytic mind is worth billions. Yet he has been hiding his brilliance underneath this stifling difference. And if you don't like his opinions, go look for like-minded civilians to whine in the comment section and slap a dislike on his videos.
Okay, I don't even know if I should even try with this video. It's highly unlikely anybody who understands English is gonna watch this review anyways, but alright, I'll do what I can. This show is case-based, meaning that every so often we get a new case with a new criminal, and then the case is closed and forgotten. And there isn't a larger plot within the series. But, even though there is no larger plot, the show does deal with characters internally a lot, and develop relationships, so it is a bit refreshing. As a rule, in longer-running police dramas, the cases get forgotten, but since this show doesn't have that many cases, you can kinda remember them, which is why I have compiled a list of my favorite cases, in order from favorite to least favorite. You can take a quick look at it now if you want, but we'll get back to it later because right now we'll talk about the larger picture. The protagonist, Dr. Fitzgerald, or Fitz, as everybody calls him, is not a very interesting character. The actor plays him well, but on his own, his problems of gambling and alcoholism, and his ability to know everything, isn't all that impressive or original. It's okay to observe him from the outside and watch him solve cases though, so it's not a big issue. What is interesting, however, are his relationships with the rest of the cast. Jane Penhaligon, or Panhandle, Jimmy Beck, Fitz's wife, his kids, Bilborough, and Wise in later seasons. The love triangle between Jane, Fitz, and the wife was nicely handled. Every character was portrayed as flawed, but well-meaning, which made everybody's decisions on what to do very difficult. It appears that Fitz does indeed love Jane, or used to love her, but in spite of that, his actions, how he blows her off, could illustrate the reverse, and that it's a fleeting thing. Jane and Fitz were officially together only while him and his wife were separated, and the revelation that the wife was pregnant during the time put a huge damp on the relationship and killed any possible competition, and sorta made the decision for Fitz itself. All these scenes, with Jane finding out about the pregnancy, the wife finding out about Jane, they are all potentially really awkward scenes that could be difficult to watch due to vomit-inducing writing. However, the writing was quite reasonable, and those moments turned out to be quite good because they said a lot without showing much. Neither woman wanted to talk to the other, and their stares and brusque remarks were rife with all kinds of internal emotions you could come up with. So overall, I think this is one of the best love triangles I've ever witnessed on television. And I think it was so good because it wasn't overdone and over-exaggerated. Next, Jimmy Beck is the denier of the show, the character that opposes most of what Fitz says and gets proven wrong. And he would have stayed this way until the end if it weren't for his character development in the second season. His negligence to see through the villain in the first case of the second season directly influenced the death of his boss Bilbra. And this is impressive for two reasons. First, usually characters don't really die in police dramas and have plot armor, but not here. The boss actually died, even if his death was a bit suspicious. And secondly, Jimmy Beck genuinely feels guilty because his lack of professionalism actually cost a human life he cared about. And usually these shows do not delve into this. In addition to that, later he went and raped Jane Penhaligon, another main character. And we did not find it out it was him until later, but the signs were all there.
Do you fantasize about rape?
Yeah, well, she does. It doesn't include violence, right?
Stay out of this. Do you fantasize?
No, excuse me, you're on my pitch here.
I couldn't give a shit. Do you fantasize about
It
rape?
has nothing to do with violence.
Do you fantasize about rape?
Jimmy, lads.
Sometimes.
And later he committed suicide.
I raped you. I'm so sorry.
So instead of being a fodder of a character, he actually meant something to the show and helped expand on the rape theme. Nowadays, contemporary series would probably add a lot more angles to this, since it's such a hot topic in today's world. But I still like the way Cracker handled it. So not only he changed himself forever, but he's also changed another main character forever, Jane Penhaligon. And I really enjoyed the series showcasing Beck's struggle between feeling guilty for his boss's death and the rape. These dialogues between Fitz and Beck, between Jane and Beck, they're all very interesting. And Cracker takes full advantage of the situation. His end was very fitting, and in a way, he tried to make Jane feel slightly guilty for his suicide, and whether he succeeded or not isn't clear. Bilbra wasn't an interesting character until he died. His death was a turning point to the show that raised it onto a whole nother level. But his replacement, DCI-wise, was a bit bland, but not overly different from Bilbra. Jane's fate was always interesting to me, so I think it's sad that she did not return for the 2 movies after the main series. They mentioned she's studying for something, but I think we need more information. Alright, now let's go back to the list I mentioned earlier. Maybe I should keep it on screen at all times. The reason why the first case is so low is because I don't really remember the first episode, since I watched it a long time ago and didn't enjoy it too much. To Be a Somebody is, as you can see, my favorite case. The villain looks a lot like a Russian rapper Oxymoron and plays his part really well. That's also the episode Bilbra's death happened and is also quite an impressive twist. To Say I Love You, my second favorite, was great because the villain was an autistic person with a speech impediment, and I don't remember crime dramas having such a villain. The Big Crunch, number 5 on the list, was pretty good, and it had the actor from Downton Abbey who played his role really well. The case tackled religion, and frankly, many of these cases touch upon issues and expand upon them one way or another, like homosexual relationships, twice actually, religion, rape, cheating, all of the topics that are on the radar today. The final 2 cases, I wasn't overly impressed by them, especially the one with 2 overly attached men. The other episode had a nice idea, to make the perp in love with Fitz and his works and to be successful at pushing his buttons. Almost killing his son was dangerous and it was the right direction. But something about that episode just didn't sit right with me. So the main series, the first 3 seasons, were all really good. The bonus movies, however, they were horrendous. Especially The White Ghost. There were so many things wrong with the movie, it's not even funny. The setting is in Hong Kong, but in spite of that, almost everybody speaks English, and there are a lot of Western-looking people there. And of course, the perpetrator is English. And somehow one random girl who is not from Hong Kong, she managed to recognize that the perpetrator had an English accent. Not Scottish, not Irish, not Australian, English. It was very funny.
He was with a patient. I got the bag and left. I didn't see the man's face, not really.
The man.
An Englishman. His back was to me.
Why English? Why not Caucasian, white?
I don't know. Maybe I picked out words or an accent before I knocked.
And in spite of the best efforts of Fitz to bring Jane Penhaligon to collab on the case with him, DCI Wise came instead and briefly mentioned that she couldn't come because she was studying something. And essentially this was the last we've heard from Jane, as I mentioned, which is sad. So yeah, two characters from the original show, subpar boring crime, a female detective who initially doesn't like Fitz and then comes to like him and comes to the defense of his methods. So just overall, really lazy writing. The whole movie felt like a mediocre Columbo ripoff in a bad way. The other movie, which was released in 2006, almost 10 years after the series ended, was slightly better, but also quite underwhelming. It was so forgettable that the only thing that I remember is that they brought Fitz's wife back on the show and gave their kids screen time as one of them got married. It was a nice touch. But yeah, the case itself was not good. So this is it from me. I think it's a solid series with a distinct atmosphere and pretty decent interrogation and psychological extraction of a confession. Not world class, but fairly good. Thanks for watching.